Hey everybody, final thoughts time for City Council Disaster Deck, which is actually awesome. I like it a lot. You know, Jen and I, like I said up front, we both already really enjoy City Council. It's a really unique game, pretty much unlike any other city building game out there, and one of the few semi-cooperative games that works really well for us, because normally in games like Archipelago and stuff like that, Jen hates negotiation. But in City Council, we always find ourselves really kind of getting into it and role-playing and arguing our case for why it's absolutely important that we sell that prison, because we're really in the back pocket of, what do you call it, of big crime or something like that. And you know, it's just a blast. We absolutely love the base game. And for people who have tried the base game and think, I've seen some people complain that it's just, there is no negotiation. It's really obvious what you always need to do. The voting is really kind of lackluster. People don't really negotiate, and I don't understand what that is. I can only assume that's because people don't play the game at the advanced level. It's true. City Council, when you play at the intro level, the default rules, the city itself almost runs on autopilot. The city is never really in much danger of going under. So the cooperation aspect and maybe the voting aspect and the negotiation aspect is not that big a deal. But when you play City Council the way it's meant to be played, where you don't start with these starting buildings and you don't start with as much money and stuff like that, and you start with all the buildings available to build right from the get-go, the base game is a ton of negotiation. Sorry, that has nothing to do with it, but I just wanted to point that out. For people who think City Council doesn't work, try the full game. Don't try, because the rules teach you the game with training wheels on, basically. And we found it's really deep and very engaging when you play it full on. And maybe that's one of the reasons we enjoy the cooperative so much, because it makes you play full on right off the bat. Right out of the get-go, you are under a lot of pressure in the cooperative game with all these disasters hitting you, the target of having to get 26 points. Sometimes you get lucky with lobbyists that fit what you need, sometimes you won't. You just got to weather the storm. Crime and pollution really climb very, very quickly. And the beauty part is, it's really amazing playing this compared to playing semi-cooperative. It's incredible what you can get done when you actually work with your city council members, when you are all in it together. Even if you're in it just to make sure that Donald Trump-esque real estate developer gets what he wants so you can get the victory points you need. It works really, really nicely. It becomes a very, very interesting and fun and creative cooperative game with a lot of stuff to puzzle out. It's obviously a puzzle every round of, well, which buildings should we build? Where should we put them? Who should we put to work? What should we do to meet those lobbyist goals? Or if we ignore the lobbyist goals and we're just going to survive till the end, how can we make sure our city is strong enough to survive all those disasters that are going to keep hitting us every other turn that just get nastier and nastier over time? So all that stuff works really well. But the only thing that's kind of odd, although I should say it's only odd for me and Jen, is these character cards. Basically, the way the game works is it adds extra external pressure on us that will destroy the city that much quicker to make up for the fact that we're all working together and we're no longer working at cross purposes. So I get that. That works fine. But then everybody gets their own role, but it just means that of the 5 tasks that have to be done every round, every person is responsible for one specific task. And I guess that makes sense. But to me and Jen, we actually tried playing that way, and it just made no sense because we wanted to collaborate. We wanted to collude. When Jen was choosing what, lobbyists were going to come out this turn, I wanted to talk to her and work together to figure out what the best group was. When I was figuring out what buildings would get built, Jen wanted to talk with me and she had ideas too. So again, as I said in the video, if you've got a cooperative group who works well together, who are a group of equals, and you don't have somebody that just runs roughshod over everybody else, you can pretty much just ignore these. Although it's interesting, at that point, everybody kind of loses their goal. Because the interesting thing about this is an excellent solo game now. City Council has become a great solo game, in the grand tradition of playing Agricola as a solo game or something like that. A big complex simulation with a lot of external pressure, and you have to figure out the best thing round after round after round to stay alive and make it to the end and score points. So and now it is a solo game. If you're not going to stick to these roles, it becomes a solo game where everybody's playing a solo game together. And it just means every round, everybody collaborates and contributes. But it's not like anybody has a specific role unless you play with these. But again, I think these only work with a certain type of group where you need to play with them. So I just say this because it's kind of the one weird thing. I mean, it took me a long time. Well, first of all, voting in a two-player game is completely pointless because the person who gets to choose the buildings is also the executive. So if you're playing two-player, you're either both going to agree or there's going to be a tie. And the person who chose the buildings is going to be, it's really kind of weird. The other player, the opposite player, isn't the executive chairman, so that would make sense in a two-player game. But so it's interesting. If you've got a group that likes the idea of co-ops, but you can never work together, this might be a great opportunity for you because it introduces voting as a core concept. When your group can't decide, hey, vote. And if there's a tie, well, whoever is the biggest jerk at the table, he's the executive. And I don't even think you would need to have a situation where every single turn you change these roles. You could stick throughout the game if you wanted. The game has a lot of flexibility, is what I'm saying. It should be able to work. And honestly, we already loved City Council quite a bit. We enjoy it even more now. I don't know if we'd go back to semi-co-op. We like it quite a bit. I mean, maybe it's just the freshness of the new thing. Another thing about this disaster deck is it makes the game faster. I would say the game is about 30% faster now than playing a full semi-cooperative version where everybody's racing to be the first to get to 11 points. So that's interesting also. Another feather in its cap as far as I'm concerned. And that's it, folks. That is City Council Disaster Deck. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, let me know. If I made any goofs, please point them out and Paul will get them noted up. Otherwise, hope you have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Well, bye-bye. Hold on. No bye-bye just yet. I just remembered a couple more things. One is, it just bears noting that City Council actually just recently got its Deluxe Reprint, which is the base game plus the disaster deck plus another deck which adds some like government lobbyists. I've never played that one, but just FYI, that's out there. If you're thinking about getting City Council now because it's a cooperative game, now's a good time to do it because they've just reissued this bigger deluxe version. And so that's cool. And I totally forgot. I have one fairly significant complaint about the game. I have to admit, I forgot about it because I've literally just buried it in the box and I tend to forget about it. The interesting thing is there's a bunch of A disasters and a bunch of B disasters. Every time you play, you're supposed to take one A and one B out, so you never know quite what's going to hit you. I have chosen every time I will ever play the disaster deck to always take this particular disaster out. I will always take out this B because here is what it looks like. And I don't know, I might get a lot of crap for this, for pointing out that honestly, this is just too on the nose for me. I really don't care for this card. I hate to say it, I think it's in really, really poor taste. And yeah, it really does kind of put a damper on my enthusiasm for the whole thing. So that's why, as soon as I got it, I just yanked this card. I will never play with it because, again, this is not something that I want to be thinking about while I'm having fun playing a game. And now, again, that you could call me a hypocrite because, hey, you look at the other disasters, there are tsunamis, there are tornadoes, there are all kinds, and these disasters mimic real-world disasters where thousands of people die all the time, no different than 9/11. But, I don't know, there's something different about a natural disaster, although the argument could be made that those are kind of man-made as well, thanks to climate change. But anyway, there's a difference between a natural disaster and, a man-made disaster along these lines. And I understand why the designer, why Elad of Golden Egg put this in the game. It's because he is a die-hard fan of SimCity. And this was one of the disasters you were able to make happen in SimCity 1,000,000 years ago. And he, this is his homage. This game is his love letter to SimCity. So most of the disasters are repeats of the old classics from SimCity. And that includes making a plane crash. And I don't know, maybe if the art had been done differently so it doesn't so very, very closely recall the imagery of 9/11, maybe I'd feel differently about it, but yeah. So, give me hell, internet. This is the slave cards from 5 Tribes all over again. I'm a social justice warrior, blah, blah, blah. Trust me, you can keep it to yourself. I've heard it 1,000,000 times over the last, I don't need to hear it more, but I do just want to, these are my final thoughts. I want to get all my thoughts out there. And again, I really could have done without this card, or at the very least, it could have been, the art for it could have been done in a different way that doesn't so very clearly draw such a, immediate, at least for me anyway, an immediate visceral response of sadness. And yeah, and again, I know I'm a hypocrite. Tsunamis kill thousands of people. I mean, yeah, heck, we watched The Impossible not too long ago. I know it's absolutely terrible and horrible. But again, it's an extra level of terrible and horrible when man's inhumanity to man came across, as opposed to cold, uncaring nature trying to wipe everybody out. So sorry, I'm just repeating myself now, but I did just want to get on camera and open up the. Oh, please, let's not have another 5 tribes thing, please, please, please. And that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. Questions, comments, concerns, as always, please feel free to leave your notes. And otherwise, hope you have a very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.